I'm back! So, how's it going, YouTube? This will be a special episode. Not only am I back for the first time, but yesterday was WWDC 2018. So, that's what this episode is mainly going to be about. The big things talked about. We got a new Mac OS, we got new WatchOS, and tvOS, and iOS updates. And so we're going to be talking about that. And there wasn't much else tech news related, so that's what's on the menu today. Hope you enjoy. It's good to be back. Alright, so first big update. We'll talk about kind of the smaller end of stuff first. So the first update that I wanted to talk about was WatchOS 5. So there's a couple cool things coming with this, such as activity competitions. So you can share your activity rings and points amongst your friends who also have an Apple Watch, and during the week you can compete to try to earn the most amount of points. You can challenge people, and of course you get trophies for that. It looks like there are going to be new workout updates, as well as automatic workout detection. So it'll sense when you start moving and alerts you to start the workout app. So that's pretty cool. Honestly, I don't use the watch for exercise or workouts or activity, anything like that. So I'm a bit of a lazy bum. So I don't really, this stuff doesn't, like, I don't get half of it. I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm talking about here. But there's new running features, pace alerts, so you can like choose a target pace, and Apple Watch can tap you on the wrist to let you know if you're behind or ahead of what you want to be. You can see your steps per minute during your running workouts, called cadence. And this was one of the features that I had been begging for since Apple Music came to the watch with a WatchOS 4, and that was Apple Podcasts. Okay, I love listening to podcasts, and I would definitely love to see podcasts on the watch, and it's happening. Podcasts are now available on the Apple Watch with WatchOS 5, so you can stay connected to the stories, personalities, and news you love. Syncs automatically, much like music, what you do is you tell the music what playlists you want to have synced, and with podcasts you can tell it what podcast you want to have synced, and then it will automatically download them when new episodes become available overnight. Walkie-talkie is an interesting feature, so you can basically invite someone to a short audio conversation, and then if they accept, then you can send a short sound bite to them back and forth, like a walkie-talkie. And it's pretty cool. So if you have two or more people who have an Apple Watch, you can just, keep in contact like that really quickly. So it's not like a full-blown phone call. So if you just need to get a hold of someone really quick, you can just walkie-talkie them. So Siri is getting some updates with her watch face, and there's going to be new shortcuts. Going to be talking about that specifically with iOS. So it looks like they're going to be incorporating more of your favorite apps into the Siri watch face, so it will more smartly detect things of when you use your apps, when that's part of the shortcuts feature that I'll be talking about on iOS. Is it kind of can detect on what time of the day you typically use an app, and it'll suggest things for you, that sort of thing. Raise to speak, you no longer need to say the hey trigger, and just raise your wrist and you can talk to Siri. Although I really don't know how, okay, what if you raise your wrist just to check the time? I need to see this function in action before I actually make up my mind on that. I might prefer to have Hey Siri enabled over that, just because, yeah, what happens if I raise my wrist just to check the time and then, oh, hey, I'm talking to Siri, go away. There's improved notifications for it. So, like, basically there's going to be more interactions. So, like, you can, like, hard press it and see different things, more direct interactions. So, like, for example, when you get like a notification about, say, they use an example of a boarding pass, you can update like the time and party size of your coming reservation, I'm sorry, that's for reservation. So let's say you go into your flight and you have a boarding pass, you can check into your flight via the watch through the notification center. And so rather than having to, you got a notification from the watch, okay, open the app on the phone to do it, you can just do it directly from the watch. And of course, things like for example, if you have a reservation at Yelp and you get a notification about, hey, do you want to confirm this? You can then you can extend the party size, the time, or your parking meter time, that sort of thing. So it'll depend on what apps make use of this, but you can start doing more with the notifications. So yeah, I mean, honestly, one of the features I wish they would add is just a launch an iPhone app. So like when I get, for example, a notification on Twitter, I wish I could just tell it, hard press it or something and say launch an iPhone, so I can pull out my iPhone and then it would be, just unlock and it'd be going to it. As of right now, like for example, if I get a notification from Twitter, the only thing I can do is just look at it or dismiss it. I can't actually do anything. So there's viewing web content. So if you get a message containing a website link, you can tap it and it will optimize the website if it has reader mode for the watch, so you can just kind of scroll through website. That's actually really neat. Student ID cards, this is something for Apple Pay. You now can with universities that are and schools that are accepting this, you can now use your student ID cards on your phone or your watch. So much like Apple Pay, where dink, you pay with the phone. With this, you dink and you sign in like you normally would. And right now it's accepted at Temple University, Santa Clara University, the University of Oklahoma, Johns Hopkins University, Duke, and the University of Alabama. So of course you can get into your dorm, you can gym, library, campus events, just about anything you need your student ID card for, you can scan the phone or the watch and it registers. And third-party apps in the Siri watch face, interactive notifications, new background audio mode. So that's for developers to be able to enable their apps to do more functionally with the watch. So the one thing about this though is if you have the original Apple Watch, the very first one released, WatchOS 5 is not going to be compatible. So the next thing, because this is kind of like the smallest update, is 4K, or the Apple TV 4K now has the two biggest things. It now has Dolby Atmos. So much like the 4K HD to 4K thing, if you bought a film on iTunes in HD, it automatically upgraded it to 4K in iTunes. This does not mean a movie that you bought on Blu-ray in HD and just added to your iTunes library via digital download. This does not apply for those, but the movies that you buy directly in the iTunes store, those automatically get updated to 4K and HDR. Now with Dolby Atmos support, you get the new you get the new sound profile as well right now. So it has Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. So this is one of the first streaming TV boxes to have such a function of both the highest end video quality and the highest end sound quality. So that was really exciting. One of the things too that they show is also, like, for example, oh, what are they called? The screensavers. There you go. So if you let your Apple TV rest for a bit, and if you have one, it'll show like a screensaver. Typically, these are locations like Earth, or like a overview of Earth, or maybe it's an actual location on the Earth, like Antarctica or a big city or something. Now, people have always wondered where are these from. Now, apparently, if you have the Apple TV remote, you just slightly tap the sensor on the Apple TV remote, and it will tell you this is location here, and maybe I think it said time when it was taken to, but I don't. No, I think about it. I don't think it does. But that's really cool, because I admit I've done that. I've been like, where is this? What city is this? What location? And that'd be really neat. New, and of course now one of the things that is coming up is with TVO, the previous tvOS, they had it was called single sign-on, where if you had a cable subscription and you had access to the channels before the last tvOS, you would have to sign in to every single channel through your subscription box, whatever you have, either cable, whatever. And then with the latest tvOS, it was just you sign in once, and then it signs you into all of them. So that's cool. Now with this new tvOS update, zero sign-on, meaning if you have the select partnered, like Charter Spectrum is one. There are other companies that are in other countries that are working with Apple TV to do this, but Charter Spectrum is currently the US one, where if you have Charter Spectrum and you have the cable subscription through it, when it detects that you sign in to that Charter Spectrum service on the Wi-Fi, boom, done. You're signing in. That's really cool. It'd be nice if we, it'd be really cool to use if we actually had TV, but we don't. So we don't really watch too much TV shows. So, but yeah, that is the new tvOS and watchOS. Those are the smaller programs, like the peripherals that a lot of people who are in the Apple ecosystem probably don't have as much. Although watchOS is up, like the watch is up like 50% from last year. So cool. Which it's honestly it's the leading smartwatch and leading watch brand in general is the Apple Watch. So yeah, that's watchOS and tvOS. All right, so the next thing we're going to be talking about is macOS. This year's new macOS is called macOS Mojave. And so yeah, there's not a huge update. Again, I don't think this year's WWDC was meant to be a huge update. So like, there's no big change in functionality for macOS. Granted, I think macOS is perfect, almost as is. Granted, once you get over the bugs that have been plaguing this High Sierra update, like being able to just type in root in the username and be able to sign in to the computer as an administrator. But yeah, one of the biggest things that people have wanted, this feature actually leaked the day before, maybe 2 days before the conference, and that was dark mode. And all the discussion forums I saw on this was like, yes, we got it. Dark mode, it looks amazing. And connected to that is the dynamic desktop. I don't know if the dynamic desktop connects us to dark mode, or if it's just something that is a separate feature. But dynamic desktop is where, with certain select images that they provide, it changes via time of day. So, like for example, the Mojave Desert. When it's morning in your day, it's morning in the desert on the desktop. When it's afternoon, the sunrise is more around the afternoon time, and then when it's of course night, it's nighttime. I'm hoping what this means is also dark mode has a sunrise sunset feature, like the Reddit app Apollo. That is and some other apps that I use have this dark mode where it changes via time of day. So once sunset hits, it changes to dark mode. When it's daytime, it's daylight, or it's light mode. And I would love to see that on macOS too, just because I think it makes the app more immersive. Speaking of apps, the Mac OS App Store is getting a bit of an update to look more like the iOS App Store. There are video previews now, and so basically, you know, the biggest the disconnect between the App Store on the Mac and the App Store on iOS is now being kind of cut down. The Mac OS App Store is going to look more like the iOS App Store. And then, some new apps are coming to macOS from iOS, like Stocks, voice memos, what's the other one? News, the Home app, but the biggest one that a lot of people are excited to see was News, because Apple News is a great aggregator for news sources where you can get your own personalized news feeds, and so I really like it because, you know, it's one of those things, if I want to follow a news story, I have my own sources that I trust. Personally, I follow the Wall Street Journal, Politico, Vox, and surprisingly, they have good editorial videos on YouTube, and some of their articles are the same way. What's the other one? The New York Times, and NPR, too. NPR especially. NPR is great. But what I like about it is it actually suggests stories to you that are related, and these aren't just related to your sources. So you can read a story and then at the end read other perspectives on the story. So if you have a more right-wing news article, you might get a related article from a more left-wing source that might, you know, fill in the gaps. Maybe that right-wing source left out, and vice versa. So I really like it for that feature. And so News on macOS would be great. And then probably my favorite feature, because we've all been there, is Stacks. And what this feature is if you've ever used your desktop on your computer and you need a bunch of files at the ready, but you don't have time to organize them, there's this new feature called Stacks where it essentially organizes by file type or however you want it to organize it, and then boom, it just stacks it. You don't have to go in and create a folder and then manually add everything. It just boom, they're together, and then you just double click and then it, you know, opens it up and you can view your files, and it's really cool. That is something, because like on my desktop, for example, the clutter got to me, so what I did was I created all files, just one folder, and everything I want is in there, and then whenever I get a new file that I need, I put it on my desktop until I'm done with it, and I stuff it in all files. It's the reason why my computer is currently full, because of the fact that I probably haven't deleted anything off my computer in about 2 years. Yeah, but that is definitely my favorite function, because we've all been there where we're busy and we need all these files quick at the ready, and boom, they're just all over the desktop. Now, this helps organization. There are other things with Finder where you can quick edit items depending on the file type, like you can adjust the filters and like on your photos, for example, you can view the metadata on it. There are more quick actions to edit files like PDFs and other things like that. Quick look, where you can, with a tap of the spacebar, provides more than just a quick look at the file. It gives you the power to perform actions specific to the kind of file you're viewing without even launching an app, and it's really nice. So you can mark up images, rotate, trim audio and video files. You know, there's improvements to the screenshot and continuity camera. This was one that I really like. So if you're editing, say, a file, and you need a picture, you can now like right click it and take picture from camera or from phone, and it will, if you're connected via iCloud, it will launch your phone to the camera app, and it's really nice. I think that would really help your productivity. If you are using documents and you need to share files between the computer and the phone, you don't have to, you know, go, oh, I need to get this picture ready. You know, it's just right click and get it ready. So yeah, that's again not the biggest thing I almost missed. Security and privacy. They are cracking down hard on keeping your data and your privacy secure. So basically, they're cracking down where if you use Safari, at least, they're giving websites a lot less to track you on, like a lot less of what you have on your computer type, what you previously browsed. They're not letting websites track you on that. So it's becoming less and less. Your computer looks less and less distinctive. So it's really nice. I really appreciate Apple's commitment to security and privacy here. And yeah, that's kind of the big update for macOS. There are other smaller things that I don't have time to cover, but yeah, those are the big things. macOS, like I said, I think outside of the bugs with the High Sierra, was already perfect. So I can't wait to get my new computer at some point and actually like get to experience this new world that macOS Mojave brings. Alright, so last but not least, iOS 12. So, anyone who uses an iPhone is probably on iOS 11 with about 99%, or no, not 99%, I'm thinking of another statistic. 81% of people using iOS 11 now that have iOS devices, I think was the statistic they pulled during the keynote. 95% customer satisfaction rating with iOS 11, so good job there. Once we got over the bugs with the first initial launches of iOS 11, it has been a great version of iOS. And iOS 12 the rumors were true. This was not a huge update at all. In fact, the biggest part of the keynote that they pointed out was performance improvements for even older devices. Now, things like keyboard launches like 50% faster, 70% faster swipe to camera from the lock screen, 2 times faster app launch even under heavy workload. They've worked with how to get their CPU and GPU management with their A series of chips to make it to where even if you're on an older iPhone, like they showed a model of the iPhone 6 Plus being a model, and they launched apps from it, and they showed how much faster it was compared to iOS 11. So that was a big thing about even your old devices. Every device that supports iOS 11 will support iOS 12, and people that have already are starting to use the public or the developers beta that became available after the keynote are surprised in that, yes, even people on the iPhone 5S, a phone that came out 5 years ago, is running faster than it does in iOS 11. Like, they're improving the speed. It's really funny that the whole, battery slowdown, they just don't want you to keep your old devices, and then they come out with this update where actually we're improving your performances on your old devices. And, and the thing is Apple has always been better than Android. I mean, Android is notoriously, you're lucky if you get more than 2 years of support. So iOS there is just continuing their legacy lead over Android in supporting people with older devices, and making iOS 12 work better. And I really think that this is exciting. That if you get an Apple device, this is why I get Apple devices, because I know I can trust they're going to last unless I do something to them. But another feature that a lot of people asked for, FaceTime, group FaceTime, is coming. You can group FaceTime up to 32 people, and it organizes them in squares on the screen, and then whoever's talking gets kind of the biggest square, like it automatically zooms in on them. It's really cool. Really nice feature. I do not know how it would support up to 32 people, though. Jeez Louise. And they're ripping off Samsung. I don't know why they're doing this, but Memoji is the new thing where you can make your own custom Animoji if you have an iPhone 10. And I guess that's cool. It definitely looks better than Samsung, but it's still just, it's not for me. There's just, I mean, okay, I guess it's definitely not as creepy as Samsung, and I guess I'll get used to it, because it's more compared to the Mii's on the Nintendo Wii than it is Samsung's AR emoji. And of course the facial tracking on Animoji is just, and this Memoji is way better than Samsung's. And they're adding new Animoji, like a ghost, a T-Rex, a koala, and tiger, to iOS 12. They're going to be adding more camera effects, so like stickers and filters. It'll automatically suggest certain filters for you depending on the situation. And you can even add your Animoji live in FaceTime or for the camera. I think that's cool. There's new AR improvements. Those were really neat, but unfortunately I don't have time to cover those since they're kind of a niche thing, so I just gotta keep moving. The biggest thing, though, is much like Android P with its kind of screen time awareness thing that they did, where you can kind of study how you're using your device and different things. Screen time is now being added where you can see, like, you get weekly reports of how you use your phone and all your devices, and what apps you're using the most, and you can kind of give yourself time limits and stuff. So if you're someone who's like, you know what, I use Facebook or I use Instagram too much, I need to crack down on that, you can now, with screen time, actually be like, all right, I'm going to give myself an hour at most on Instagram, and then after that, you know, I'm done. But the biggest feature that I wanted, outside of I did talk about because I use music the most, I wanted some improvements to music. There was no talk of music, so that right there, I mean, but I wasn't honestly expecting them to. But group notifications are back! Yes! Oh my word! That was something I wanted so badly, was group notifications. Just the other day, yesterday, I went to go see Solo: A Star Wars Story, and I was in a group chat with me, my sister, my mom, and the group notifications, in like a span of 2 minutes, I had like 20 notifications, and they just, boom, was just all over my screen, on my lock screen, and I hated it. Now that'll be a thing of the past with group notifications. Thank you, Apple. Thank you. Yeah. That is the one thing that people have had with iOS. That is legitimately the thing I've been jealous of. If I ever had someone, I work at a phone store, and if I give it I would see notification alerts for like 30 plus notifications sometimes, and it would still take up less room than me having 15 notifications. It's just, yeah. There's more do not disturb improvements, though, so where you can automatically turn it on, or depending on the location, and turn it off when you leave the location, timed do not disturb for only an hour, that sort of thing. There's new photo sharing where it'll suggest things, like if you are in a group or something and you take a bunch of pictures, it'll suggest to share those people that might appear in your photos, that sort of thing. They're improving the photo search. But probably my favorite thing that I'm seeing is the Siri shortcuts. I mentioned this a bit in watchOS, but shortcuts, you can basically tell Siri, you can set a phrase for Siri and then customize it for different apps. So, like, for example, they gave, hey, I'm going to work. Then the demonstration was, then she told you the weather, she got the maps ready, and then she started playing NPR radio for that person. There's also suggestions where it'll suggest, hey, you know, you get coffee a lot at this time of day. Do you want to, you know, reserve your order? That sort of thing. And of course, they're bringing that macOS privacy in Safari over to iOS and Safari as well. They're updating the Books app. They're updating the Stocks app, which is now going to incorporate some Apple News, specifically regarded as stocks. And so the voice memos are coming to iPad. Yes, still no weather or calculator app, though. Seriously, Apple, come on. Security code autofill. So if you've ever been in that situation where two-factor authentication, like say you're trying to log into your Verizon account on a different device, like on your newly bought iPhone or iPad, and it's like, we don't recognize your device, we're going to send a text message to your phone. And then it will suggest, if it's on that same device, it'll suggest the code in the website that they just sent to you. It's really cool. They've added third-party maps support for CarPlay, so if you have a car that has CarPlay enabled, you can get support for that, like Google Maps and Waze, for example. Student ID cards are, of course, what I already told you about. And, of course, this supports every single iOS device that currently supports iOS 11. So, yeah, many people are happy with this. Basically, the big things, though, that I wanted from this update was I wanted group notifications, a dark mode, coming to macOS but not iOS, but judging by the little dark theme, like notifications in the music bar or music widget are getting darker, are now dark instead of light. People are speculating that definitely dark mode is coming. They're just working at the kinks. And among other things, like group notifications, the podcast app for watchOS 5, and group FaceTime were kind of some of the things that I wanted. There was another feature that I was like, oh, give me this and I'll be happy. And I can't remember what it was now. But yeah, there was just a lot of cool things that, even though this update was mainly about performance, and the rumors were true that iOS 12 is not a huge redesign, it is still nice to see, Siri shortcuts, Siri improvements. I think that even though Apple themselves are not improving Siri, I think it gives the user more control over Siri, and it could be more useful than even the Google Assistant if you know how to use Siri shortcuts. Those are the things that I wanted. Siri improvements, group notifications, and podcasts on the watch. They delivered all those. I'm happy. Just give me a dark mode with iOS 12, please, with the new iPhones, so that way I get it on my iPhone. But yeah, that's WWDC 2018. That's your recap here on Geek Source Entertainment. You can go to Apple's website, and there are breakdowns for the new updates all over. So yeah, that goes more in detail than even I could. I got to get to work now, so yeah. This is Sir Cal on the Geek Source Entertainment Podcast. This is Tech Tuesdays, and I will see you later this week.